First up, Chris Dempsey served as an Assistant Secretary of Transportation under Governor Deval Patrick, and most recently as the director of the nonprofit Transportation for Massachusetts. In between, he was the co-founder of No Boston Olympics, the 2014 campaign against bringing the games to the city, for which he was named among the Globe's Bostonians of the Year. Chris, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Great to be back with you.
Why'd you want this job? Arguably the lowest profile of all the statewide offices. Why?
Jim, I'm running because as the son of public school teachers, I saw my parents digging into their own pockets to pay for school supplies for their students, as we know so many public school teachers do to this day across the Commonwealth. I'm running because in a state that is proud of so many firsts, we've fallen behind at everything from transportation to racial equality. And I'm running because I have seen firsthand that when decisions on Beacon Hill are made without strong public advocacy, that those decisions benefit people who work on Beacon Hill, but they don't benefit families like mine or the listeners and viewers that are watching tonight, that it's the public that pays the bills when those decisions are made. And I can be a strong state auditor with the experience and the background and the toughness to be the chief accountability officer for the people of Massachusetts.
Chris, what do you think is the most relevant experience from either the jobs you've held, the campaigns you've led, most relevant to the functions of this job?
I'd point to two things, Jim. I served as Assistant Secretary of Transportation for Governor Deval Patrick. I've been inside that bureaucracy and I've made it work better for people in co-founding the MassStop program that created all the smartphone apps that tell you when your MBTA bus or your train is going to arrive. I'm the only candidate in this race that has experience in the executive branch, which is the focus of this job. But I've also worked outside of state government to protect the public interest. As the co-founder of No Boston Olympics, we went up against the most powerful special interests and titans of industry in Massachusetts. We got outspent 1,500 to 1. We even had some noted radio and TV hosts who were skeptical of our cause in the early days of that effort. You may know one of them, Jim. But we were successful because we had the facts on our side and we made the case that this was not the right future for the people of Massachusetts. They rallied to our cause and to our side. And my takeaway is that when you put good data in front of the people of Massachusetts, we make smart decisions. And that's the job of the state auditor.
You know, I've read your material. You want to expand the traditional function, or at least the reach of the auditor's office. Give us a couple of examples of what that reach would be extended to.
Yeah, I'm proud that we were the first campaign to put out policy proposals of any kind in this race about what we want to actually do in the office. Let me highlight two of them. Our most recent one is on reform of the state police. Now, that is an institution that it should be accountable to Beacon Hill, but too often is left to run itself. And we see that when that's the case, there are issues like the overtime fraud scandal and issues around hiring and promotions and diversity. So I'm going to use all of the tools in the auditor's toolbox to make sure that we are reforming that agency with proper oversight. I do that with great respect for the troopers who are on the front lines, but they deserve to work for an agency that they can be proud of and that we as taxpayers and residents can be proud of. We also put out a nation-leading plan on climate and environmental justice. I'll make the office the first in the country to incorporate carbon accounting into our audits of state agencies. We can hold them accountable for the laws that are on the books. And I promise you, Jim, we'll be the first in the country to do this, but we will not be the last. When we started here in Massachusetts, we will make it a national leader.
How would you rate the job that the current retiring auditor has done in her more than a decade there, Chris Dempsey?
I have great respect for Auditor Bump. She has served the Commonwealth well as a legislator, as Secretary of Labor in the Patrick administration, where she was my colleague, and then for 12 years as state auditor. You know, even she has said in her statement about not running for re-election that she's excited to see what the next generation can do with this office, that there's still untapped potential there. I want to use it as a robust platform for advocacy, for better, more efficient, and more equitable government. And I have that experience actually serving in the executive branch to do that.
Don't you think, you're a Democrat, if accountability is your centerpiece of what the auditor does, wouldn't it be better to have more Republicans in both statewide and legislative office so that there was a counterbalance to the overwhelming control of Democrats, Chris?
I'm a proud Democrat. I was proud to have served under Governor Patrick to help him get elected in 2006. But you know what? This needs to be an independent role in many ways. And I'm proud of my record of standing up when I have the facts and data and I have my perspective on that issue. The Olympics are a great example of that. There were many Democrats who supported that idea, including former Governor Patrick, who was working with Boston 2024. I think that experience of going up against my former boss is an example of my willingness and toughness and independence, which is so essential in the state auditor's role.
Let's spend another minute on transparency and accountability, which again, at least from my take, is the centerpiece of the function of the auditor. The Globe has reported relentlessly that there is no state in the United States where the judiciary, the governor's office, and the legislature believes it's exempt from all three, again, exempt from public records laws. What do you as auditor do about that?
Well, one thing is I'm glad to see the State House reopening today. It's important that that building, the People's Building, is open to the public. As state auditor, we have a role in exposing more information to the public. And let me give you one example of how we can do that. Traditionally, the state police have put up barriers to the information that they have that should be open to public records, but they make it very difficult for media or the public to have access to that information. Because we have the legal authority to review that data, we can actually make some of that public, not just for our own actions and records and reviews, but more broadly. When it comes to the legislature and the governor's office and the judiciary, the auditor has an essential role to play. We do have the ability to audit those branches, but the terms are relatively limited in terms of what we can legally do. It's not about changing the rules of the House or second guessing judiciary decisions. I do think, though, that this role can be a platform for greater transparency, and that's what I've fought for in my career, whether it's open data at the MBTA or whether it's leading No Boston Olympics.
Chris Dempsey, good luck. It's great to see you. Hope to see you a lot in the months ahead.
Thanks so much, Jim. Really appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
My pleasure.